Yesterday, October 10th, 2018, marks National Mental Illness Day. Socrates once said, "Give me beauty in the inward soul, may the outward and inward be one." To me, service leadership is about much more than leading others around you. Cashman has taught us that it's a deeper, more authentic form of leadership that requires vulnerability, honesty, and storytelling in order to become a long-term and successful effort. It's about much more than just learning to lead. It's about developing your own personal self. I believe that everybody has a story to tell, and my story has to do with mental illness. Mental illness is not something to be overlooked, though all too often it is overlooked by all who are close to you. Mental illness is a real problem in today's world, and many are quick and easily able to label someone crazy rather than digging deeper. This is my story of how I dug deeper. I may look strong on the outside, but I'm truly weak and in need of help on the inside. At a young age, my parents told me to dream big. That I could do anything and that I could be anything. It became very apparent to both my parents and I that I was not like other kids around me, that I was different. I knew that my mind worked differently. I knew that my heart felt emotions much more vividly and intensely. I found value and importance in different things than others around me. Time always felt like it was moving way too fast and that I needed to stay ahead of it. I didn't have many friends when I was growing up, but my dreams and goals were big. To fill this void of no friends, I turned to more activities and made sure to always keep myself busy, which only developed into bigger dreams. These larger dreams morphed into one big, audacious, rare dream that many kids and even adults in Texas would never think a 13-year-old girl would want for her life: to be a famous singer-songwriter. I can remember writing and my love for it well before this dream became my reality. There was something so special about being able to take all of my emotions from my head and articulate them onto a sheet of paper with my own hand alone. I found this one of the most beautiful things, and I still do. Thus, writing poetry and songs became my one and only outlet into myself. By the age of 16, I had released 3 of my very own singles on iTunes. My dreams had become more than my reality. They had become my sole identity, though I could not see this at the time. Throughout high school, I had a difficult time because of this. I chose and embodied this identity above everything else, except my family. Being a singer was what people knew me for. I lived and breathed it as my past, present, and future self, and that was all I knew. This caused a lot of problems for me personally. With no friends, no social life, and different morals than all the individuals around me, I find myself living for only the 2 most important things to me: my music and my family. Though I was living a reality that had once been a big dream I did not think ever could come true, I subconsciously hated myself for it. I found myself thinking that I could never be good enough for those around me. I'm not deserving, I'll never be confident enough, and never succeed without fear defeating me first. From the outside, I seemed solid as a rock to everyone: my parents, my peers, my siblings, etc. I seemed like I had it all together. And what more could I want? My sister and my peers hated me for this. The one relationship I always yearned for and felt that I was a born leader for was my sister. I tried with every part of me to be a friend and role model to her, but nothing seemed to stick, and our relationship took a major toll. I feel as if, looking back now, that I could have been more of a servant leader to her, leading more with authenticity and love rather than someone she needed to compete with. Looking back now, I see that on the inside I was more broken and weak than I could ever comprehend at the time. I thought that doing more, succeeding more, was the answer to my inner problems, that somehow that would fix me.
Sometimes we can have it all, so tell me, why don't you let go and I'll follow you. Tell me, why don't you let go and I'll let go too. I don't think you understand how much I've missed you. We could never fool ourselves, so before we go our separate ways, it's fair that I say it's better this way. better this way.
What was once the only thing that I wanted, the only thing that made me good enough, was now lost along with myself. In March of 2017, I flew home for spring break. Little did I know that I would not be coming back anytime soon. When I arrived home, I was a mess, physically and mentally. I went up to my father and I said to him, "Dad, I need help. Something's wrong with me and I feel like I'm gonna break." You, of all people, know what it's like to feel out of control and not know why. His response was yelling at me to stop crying and threatening to put me in a psychiatric hospital if something did not change. That was the last bit of myself I had left, because for the next 3 days I would black out and not remember a thing. My parents found me in a field somewhere with scratches all over my body that I'd done to myself. For the next 3 days I cried, and I sat in my mom's closet on the floor folding her clothes, because that was all I knew to do. My mom tells me today that she looks back and she tells me she looked in my eyes and doesn't know who I was, couldn't see me anymore, and I don't remember any of it, which is what scares me the most. So for 3 days, my mom stayed and she mended me and finally took me to a psychiatrist in Texas. This is where they would diagnose me with bipolar I disorder. Unable to return because of the state I was in, for the next 2 months, I would be placed on medical leave from Pepperdine and from music. For 2 months, I worked with my psychiatrist, and for 2 months, I tried to fix myself as much as I could. I only had 2 months because I had to return in order to complete the semester. And when I returned, I was still broken, but at least I had the tools to help fix myself. My story is a form of service leadership because I choose to be a service leader for all people with mental health disorders. Mental health is not something to be overlooked, and it is not something to be looked down upon or frowned upon. It's serious, and it's a real problem that I deal with every day. Mental health has not only been just a challenge to me, it's also helped define me. It's also helped me make sense of all the pieces of myself that I could never make sense of before. Though my father may not truly understand mental health, I choose to be a servant leader for it because I believe in it, and it makes each individual special, unique, and beautiful. It is not a flaw in character, but is a beautiful thing.